So I will try to go very quickly through what we studied so far. If you have, of course, question you can ask. If not, so as we studied the first day, I told you what is a variable. So a variable simply, again, I will go very quickly. No need for you to a variable. So a variable is simply it's a box to store data or to store a value. Voila, simply like that. We said that in JavaScript we have 4 ways to declare a variable. 2 ways we never gonna use, which is just declare a variable without any keyword, and using a var. Why? Because both of them create a global variable, and that's what something we do not need to, we should avoid. Here I cannot have 2 variables with the same name, so I just say name and age like that. We should avoid these 2 ways at any cost. So normally that's mean the way you need to use to declare variable, either using let or const. When it comes to the scope, there is no difference between the scope of let and const. Both of them are block scope. So they are block scope. Well, the only difference between let and const is if I declare a variable with const, I am not allowed to reassign the variable. But with let, I am allowed to do so. Should be okay if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Good. Let's go quickly through the data type. I told you in JavaScript, we have 2 categories of data types. So we have what we call primitive, and we have what we call reference or complex data type. Of course, the primitive data types are stored in the memory, they are stored in the stack. And the reference data types are stored in the heap. Voila. This is quite important to remember. So the stack property here, the stack has less size comparing to the heap, but JavaScript can access the stack quite quickly comparing to the heap. And here in the stack, normally we have just primitive data type. Also, we have something else. What was this something else? If you remember, we store in the stack the primitive data type and also something to show me where these values are stored in the heap. What it was?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
An address.
Yes, very good. So the question is, what do we store in the stack? Normally in the stack, we store the primitive data type and the address of the reference data type, the address of reference data type, reference data type. Voila. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go to the stack here, you will have all the primitive data type. But now if we have a reference data type, we will just have a pointer like an arrow. It includes the address of this variable. So when JavaScript go to the stack and try to find a reference data type, whatever it is, object or array, it will not find it, but it will find just the address of this variable. Then it will go to the heap and try to find it, simply like that. Yes? No.
Yes.
Okay. What else? So primitive data type, as you know, we have 6 data type. Actually, I will go very quickly through them. One of them simple, we don't use it a lot. So let me actually comment it here. We have number or numbers. We have string. We have Boolean. We have undefined. We have null and symbol. For now, we ignore the symbol. We don't use it. I may explain it later. But that's the 5 value is very important for us. Numbers, string, Boolean, undefined, and null. For reference data type or complex data type, we have 3 categories. We have arrays, object, and function. Simply like that. Should be okay. After that, what we can review also was the strict mode. I told you the strict mode is quite important to use all the time. Why? Because the strict mode helped me to catch more error. It just, as the name suggests, use strict, it's allow you to write a better code. So whenever you are doing some, let's say, some code with error prone that may cause an error or a bug, it will show you as an error. So it will help you to write simply a better code. That's simply what is used strict. And that should be okay for now. Here we study the operator. So I told you we have different type of operators in JavaScript. So first we have arithmetic operator. An arithmetic operator, you already know what they are. So they're just simply the normal plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus. And we have also someone else, which is exponentiation. Voilà. So that's arithmetic operator. Also, we have comparison operator. So comparison operator 2. I will go to comparison operator. And comparison operator, as you can see, less than, greater than, less than or equal, greater than or equal. That's equality. Equality here is only check the value. It does not check the data type. Strict equality check both the data type and also the value. Not equal, which will be just exclamation mark. So it will be like that. Exclamation mark equal like that. One of them. So this one here is the same as this one here. But of course, there is no space between them. Voila, just like that. Okay, so that's not equal. Here we have exclamation mark and equal. So that's strictly not equal. It's the opposite of this one. Strictly equal, strictly not equal, just equal, and here not equal. Clear those or well?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the third one, logical operator. In logical operator, we have 3. We have and, or, not. With and, I told you both sides need to be true in order to and to be true. With or, no. One side, just one side need to be true. Because if both of them are true, that's fine. It still give you true. If one side here is true and the other side is false, it's fine. It will still give you true. This no or here, it will only give you false if both sides are false. Not operator, it's simple. It just takes the value and it converts it here. Or that's what you call the flipping a value. So if it's true, not true, it will be false. Not false, it will be simply true. That's logical operator. And after that, we have assignment operator. So assignment operator also, we talk about it. I told you here in math, this is really not an equality just like math, that's assignment. I can, if I want to add, for example, a specific number, so let's say, I just say let x, it's equal to 10. And here I want to increment x by 5. It is possible in programming as just say x is equal to x plus 5. In programming, we always start from the right side. So that's my way of saying, give me the value of this variable, which is 10, add 5 to it, and then reassign it to x. Of course, now I can write it this way, or I can write it the short way, which is even better. So just x plus equal, and voila, same idea. And it goes the same for minus, it goes the same for multiplication, for division, and also for modulus, simply like that. That's what you call the assignment operator. We have bitwise operator. I told you for now, it's not good. We can explain it later, but I don't think we use it in JavaScript. We have conditional operator. So what do I mean by conditional operator? So that's this. We have 5, but I'm just explaining 4 for you now for the operator. After that, we have conditional statement. So conditional statement. So what are conditional statements? Simply statement. Well, what I can do here, if I, in my program, let's say, I want to do something depending on some value. For example,
Sam,
yes.
Is it conditional statement or conditional operator?
It's not an operator, it's statement.
Thank you.
So that's a conditional statement. I have age, let's say 18, and now here what I'm going to do here, I can put my condition here. If age, for example, is greater than 18, then I can now here put the body of the if statement here, and I can write something here. I'm just logging you are an adult. I can add more condition if I want to. So using else if, I can add more condition here, and I can say, for example, if age is if age is less than 18, then I'm gonna write something else, and I say, for example, you are a minor. And here also what I can do, I can add else like that. Why? Because simply here I'm just checking if the age is greater than 18, or here if the age is less than 18, but we still have one condition we didn't take into account, which is when age is 18. And in my example here, it will now go to the else block. Why? Because simply the age is exactly 18. Voila. You are an 18 years old, simply like that. But of course, I need to use the correct log. Voila. Should be okay. Voila. So that's what you call conditional statement simply, or yeah. So I will just put my condition here, and this condition need to be evaluated either to true or false. So it will be evaluated to a Boolean. Same with else if I need to pass a condition, but for the else, the last one here, I don't need anything. So what's going on here? JavaScript is gonna check this condition. If it's true, it will execute this code, and then voila, that's it. If it's false, it will go to the second condition, check this one here. Same idea. If it's true, it will execute this code. If it's false, it will go to the last statement here, because there is no option. Either it will go here or here or here. So one part here, one statement here need to be executed depending on the condition, either this one, or either this one. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So after that, we study yesterday, I think. What did we study yesterday? We study type conversion. So what do I mean by type conversion or coercion? Type conversion or coercion, just like that. It has many naming here, so we use it. Normally, we call it just type coercion or type conversion. What's the idea of type conversion? Well, sometimes I need to change my data from one data type to another data type. Well, for example, let's say I have the most used method to use this conversion here. It will be number. A number as function, as you can see, it starts with uppercase. This function is just simply here. It will convert whatever you pass to a number. Also, we have string, and this function, whatever I pass to this function here, it will convert it to string. Then I have also a Boolean, and what Boolean is going to do here, whatever value I pass here, it will give me, it will convert it to a Boolean, simply like that. That's what you called explicit. So that is explicit type conversion or type coercion. We have also something called implicit, and the implicit here, JavaScript is automatically do that for you. If I take a very simple example in concatenation, or whenever, let's say, for example, I'm trying to log, let's take, for example, a divided by 2, for example, here. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to just make this one as a string. And if I go now to the result, let's actually try to do that in my console to see the result. Click. So if we put it this way, it still will give me 4, although this is a string and this is a number. So what JavaScript is going to do here, it's actually quite smart. It's going to just convert this one to a number. If it's applicable, that means if we can convert it, because sometimes not everything in string can be converted to a number, but this one here is stringy number. So if I convert it, it will be 8, and then it will be divided by 2, and it will give me 4. So that's what we call implicit coercion or conversion. JavaScript automatically do it for you. As that's the implicit. The explicit here, you need to do it as a developer using these different functions, either number, either string, either Boolean. I think that should be okay as well. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sam, I'm a little bit confused right here.
Why?
The console.log string, normally string is supposed to be string, right?
Again, what's the question?
The 8 is a string, right?
Yes.
So
Are you?
conversion is being built in the JavaScript automatically, or what? Or why?
Yes, but that's what I'm explaining. Implicit coercions, that means JavaScript automatically converts this one to a number. So again, when JavaScript sees this operator, depending on the operator, so if the operator is plus, JavaScript is just going to concatenate them. So it will convert this one to string, and it will give me 82. 82. Voila. But if this one here, it's not a concatenation, if it's minus, or if it's multiplication, or if it's division, or any other operator here, JavaScript is automatically going to convert this one to a number. And then it will do this calculation.
So this only apply to plus. It will be string, but any other one is going to be normal calculation, right?
Yes, because the plus, as I explained in JavaScript, it do two stuff here. So the plus sign here, if both of them are number, and only in this case here, it will just add them as a number. But if one of them is string, it will convert the second one to string, because the plus also we use it to concatenate string. But the minus or the multiplication or the division, no. What JavaScript is going to do, it needs to convert this one to a number. Otherwise, it does not make sense. For example,
and this only happen in the function like this, like console log, or in the function. It doesn't happen normally without the function, right?
No, it always happens. It does not need a function. So JavaScript is quite smart. What's going to do here, it will check the operation. If it's division, if it's minus, if it's multiplication, like that, or even if it's modulus. So as you can see, it will convert this one to a number, but only if this operator here is addition. So it will convert both of them to string, as you can see.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we've seen type conversion or type coercion also. The Boolean one here, which we call the true or false, is super important. As I told you here, we have only 5 values which are falsy. Most of the values are truthsy, except few values they are falsy. In order to check that, I can use the function Boolean. And here, between all number, only 0 is falsy, as you can see. Between all string, only empty string is falsy. Voila. We also, no, I just forgot, actually, not between all number. Also, none is falsy. By the way, none is not a number, but its type is, what type of none? What type of none?
False.
No, I'm not asking.
Number.
It's not an object, it's number, actually.
Number.
So all you have to do, you can just say type of none. And if you type of none here, it will just give you, as you can see, a number here. Okay, so the falsy value, we have 0. From the number, we have 0 and none. From the string, we have an empty string. We still have null. Null is considered as a falsy value. So you can use a function again, Boolean, like that. Boolean. And sorry, just doesn't want to type Boolean. Voila. And here I can just pass null. And null, of course, it will be a falsy value, as you can see. I still have undefined. Undefined is the same idea. It's also falsy value, undefined. And simply that's it, as you can see. 1 value, 2 values, 3 value, 4, 5. You only have 5 falsy values. The rest, all of them are truthy. Should be clear. Okay, I will go quickly through the loops, and after that, I will just explain the break and the continue statement. Then we need to talk about the switch statement. So in JavaScript, as we know, we have different type of loops. First, we have for loop. And for loop here, it's quite important. So, sorry, it's just one F, 1 O, voila. So the for loop, the syntax of for loop, it's like that. For, I need parentheses. I need to define the initializer or the starting point. So I need to declare a variable, let I, it's equal to. So depending where I don't want to start here. I want to start from 0, or maybe I want to start from -5, for example. Again, it depends where do you want to start. What is the condition as long as I is less than 10, for example? And here I need to ask myself, should I increment or should I decrement? If I increment, it will be the second iteration, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until I reach 10, and 10 is not less than 10, so this condition to become false. But if I say minus here, all the time here, the value, it will be minus, and if the value is minus, every minus value, it will be always less than 10, and I will have an infinite loop. So it's a good idea now to say just I++. Now, what do I want to do here? Well, let's just try to log the I here. Of course, as you can see, I'm starting from -5. So what's going to do here, the first time, it will know that the value of I is -5. It will check the condition. Is -5 less than 10? Yes. It will go execute the code. It will come here, increment by 1. It will become -4. Check -4 is less than 10. True. It will execute the code, and so on, and so on, and so on. So that simply is a for loop. Let me go to my test. If I hit run, as you can see, -5, -4, -3, and so on until I reach 9. Of course, the 10 is not included because my condition here, as long as I less than 10. So when I become 10 here, this condition become false, and it will not execute the code, of course. This for loop is clear.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we have while loop now. So what is a while loop? Well, the while loop is somehow, it's close to the for loop. The syntax is a bit different, but it's close to the for loop. So here in the while loop, I need to declare an iterator, or I can declare a variable. I can name it whatever I want to. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just comment this code, go here, and I can just say let I it's equal to 0, for example. And now what I can do, I can just put my while here loop, and in while loop, I need to put my condition. So as long as this condition is true, my loop is gonna run. So I want I to be, as long as I is less than 10, for example, or 15, or whatever I want to. And here, what do I want to do? Well, I want to log the I, which will be my iterator here, I. And something very important in the while loop here, I need to change the value of this variable. Because if I don't change it, it will be 0 all the time. And 0 all the time less than 10, so I will have infinite loop. Here in my example, I need to add I++. So each time I'm incrementing I by 1, that means as I is 0, the next time here it will be 1, 2, 3, 4 until it reaches 10. 10 is not less than 10. So this condition will become false and it will stop executing my code. If I go here and try to refresh my code and try to run it, voila. As you can see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 9. And it will not include 10 because simply when I become 10, 10 is not less than 10. The condition is false and my loop is not, it will just stop here. Should be okay as well. We have another loop, as I told you, which is not that much used, but anyway, do while loop. And do while loop, it's also close to the while loop, but the idea here, my code, it will be executed one time, even if the condition is false. What do I mean by that? So I can just say, for example, do, and here I can console.log, and I can increment I. So it will be the same idea. Well, as you can see, I still need to declare a variable here, I. Still need to declare a variable outside, just like while loop. But as you can see, I'm doing my code here. And then here I can put the condition. So the syntax is like while, as long as while I less than 10, simply like that. Now, what's the difference between this do while loop and while loop? The while loop, first, it will check the condition. If the condition is false, it will never execute my code. The do while loop is different. Do while loop, it will come here and it will execute my code one time. Then it will check the condition. If the condition is false, my code will run one time. If the condition is true, depending how many iterations stay true, it will just repeat my code depending on, as long as this condition is true. But the first time, it will automatically run my code. I'm going to use do while loop if I want to run my code at least one. Even if this condition is false, it doesn't matter. Why? Because I'm saying do, execute the code, then it will check the condition. And if I go to my study instances, try to do that. Now here, although my condition here, it's false, and because it's false here, this loop is not gonna repeat it here because this code is not gonna be executed here. So what's going on here, when I say do while loop, it will execute my code one time, then it will check the condition false, and it will stop. And if I try to run C, it run only one time, as you can see. Why? Because that's how do while loop work. It will execute the code one time, then it will check the condition. And because the condition is false, it will stop right there. Should be okay? Yes. Good. We have two other loops here, and the other two here just for off. We use it inside arrays, including string, of course. And we have for in, and we use it for object. Let's show an example here. So what I can do also, it will be for const. You can name whatever you want. Of course, I don't have an array, so first I need to create an array. So what I can do here, I can just say const names or whatever you want to here. I have 4 names here. I want somehow to loop through these names. Now I need to declare a variable as well here. And here, because I have names as a plural, it does make sense to name it name as a singular. So for const name of names, what do I want to do? Well, I want just to log the name for now. So let's try to log the name. Remember something? With for off loop here, names, the first time it will be John. The second time it will be Jane. The third time it will be Jack. The last time iteration, it will be Jill. And now here, simply if I go to my study instances here, try to run it. And as you can see, it ran all these values for me. Voilà. Well, for in, it will be the same idea here, but we only use it with objects. So let's create an object quickly. For example, I can just say const car. And as you know, the object car could have multiple values. It could have model. Yeah, but here I think it's a company or mark or something like that. So company. So the company normally could be Toyota. It could be Ford. It could be, I don't know. When we have different company of car, it will have a module. Also, it will have the year of which year it's being built. Of course, I can have a lot more property. So what I'm going to do somehow, I need to loop through these keys here. So those we call keys. That's what we call values. Key and value, key and value, key and value. So how can I do that? Well, I can just say simply for const key, because, for const key in my object, which is called car. So what do I want to do here? Well, I just want to log the keys. And of course, if I log the keys, it will only give me the keys, company, module here. That's the keys here, because that's the reason why I named the variable key. So what's going to do here for in, it will loop through my keys here only. And if I go to my code, refresh it again, run, voila, company, module, and year. If I want to get the value as well, well, to get the value as well, I can use the bracket here or the square bracket and square bracket, but I cannot use the indexes because it's an object. So it's car bracket, and here it will be bracket key, simply like that. Remember, I can use a bracket index with arrays, bracket keys with object. And if I try to run my code, company, Toyota, module, I don't know what the hell is this module, year is 2010. So that's basically a different type of loop very quickly.
So, Sam, you cannot console log without using for const key in the car. You cannot use it like without using that. You have to use it like this, the way you write it, huh?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, you write for const key in car console.log key car key. Can you just use console log key car keys without writing that, or this is how you have to write it?
I cannot.
To get the value of the key of the const car, you know?
Yes, but I cannot. The only way to do it. So what this loop is going to do, it will loop through these guys. Those. So it will loop through the keys only. It will not give me the values here. It will only loop through this guy here, which we called keys. If I want the
Okay.
value, I need to use the bracket, my object bracket and the key, and then it will give me the value here. Clear?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that I want to know if you can just write console outside the code, outside the block, outside.
Like
Yeah,
that?
like that. Yeah. It
Of
will
course
not
you
work, right?
Of course it work. It will just log your object. I mean console.log, or it will just log your object as you can see.
Ah, okay. Okay, thank you.
But my goal here is not to log my object. I don't want to log my object. I want to loop
Okay.
through the key and the property inside my object. So my point
Thank
here
you.
is not logging here. My point here to loop through my keys and property inside my object.
Sam,
Yes.
and if I just want to see one key and know all the keys, is that possible?
Of course it's possible.
Yeah?
Yes. Everything is
Could,
possible.
could you please show?
Yes. So
Thanks.
let's name here is age. If I want to see only age, for example, we don't need loop here in this case. All we have to do, we can just say person dot age. Voila. That's it. And if I run, as you can see, 25. Is that your question, Susanna?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, what else? Now I need just to break or to explain a new concept here, which will be the break and continue. We use break and continue statement inside loops. So again, we use break, and or because they don't have to be together. So we can use all of them alone if we want to. So again, the break and the continue statement, we only use it inside loops. You cannot use it outside of a loop. It doesn't make sense. Well, we use break also with the switch statement, but other than that, we need loops here. Otherwise, it will not work. What do I mean by that? So what does break do? Well, let's create a loop for us. So I can just say while true. And now here, what I'm going to do here, for example, I will declare a variable outside of my loop here, and I will name it I. Let I, it's equal to 0, like that. And now I want to stop this loop if I is 10. So how can I do that? Let me just write the code, and after that, let's do it. So what I'm going to do here, what I can do, I can just say here I. So I can first increment I by 1. And after that, what I need to do here, I can just check if I is 10, then I want to stop my loop. And in order to stop my loop, I can just use break. So what break is doing here is just gonna stop my loop here. Yes, no. Again, I'm just declaring a variable here at line 4. Let I it's equal to 0. Then I'm saying while true. Can anyone tell me what does that supposed to mean? When I say while true, what type of loop it will be?
What?
Infinite loop.
It will be
Infinite loop.
infinite loop. Yes. So it will be infinite loop. Why? Because true is always true. So this loop here, it will be infinite. That means it will never stop. But we can stop it if we want to. So what I'm doing here in this loop, first I increment this I by 1, and then I'm checking here. If I is 10, I want you to break. And what break is going to do is going to just simply stop my loop, as you can see. So the break statement here, we use it to stop our loop. So what's going on happen here is for the first time, when of course it's true here, it will always be true. So this loop, it will run forever. So if I don't put this code here, my loop will run forever because true is always true. What I'm doing, I'm just incrementing I by 1, and then I'm checking if I is 10. Of course, the first time I'm saying I plus plus, I is 0. So I will increment it by 1 to become 1. 1 is not 10. So it will not break my loop. It will go again. It will make I 2. It will check here. Is 2 is equal to 10? Of course not. And it will not break it. And so again and again, it will increment I until I become 10. When I become 10, it will say, is 10 is equal to 10? Yes, so strictly equal to 10. So it will break my loop here. And of course, what I can do here, I can just log the value so we can see it. So let's try to log the value. I can log the value here. Just log I. Well, let's go here, refresh. And now if I run my loop, notice, click, and now it runs for 1, for 2, for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it stopped. Why? Because when 10 is equal to 10, I'm breaking the loop. Break means stops the loop simply. Is the break statement is clear?
Yes, clear.
Yes.
So break statement, we use it inside loops. Also, we use it with the switch statement. We will see it now. What's this statement doing? As the name suggests, it will just break your loop. It will stop your loop, simply like that. So if this condition is true, what's going to do here? It's gonna break my loop, of course. You need to remember that I need to increment I here. If I did not increment I stay 0 all the time. And all the time here, 0, it will not be equal to 10, and I will have an infinite loop. So what I need to do, I need to be careful all the time to increment I. If I increment I, as you can see, so the first time I is 0, it will come here, it will increment it by 1, it will become 1. Is 1 is equal to 10? No. It will go here, it will log 1, as you can see. Same with 2, 3, 4, 5, until it becomes 10. 10, when 10 is strictly equal to 10, yes, so it will just break my loop. And when break my loop, it will not execute this code. It will go here, it break my loop, and voila, just stop the loop. Voila. It will not continue here. When it reaches the break, it will just stop the loop. That's it. And that's the reason why I don't have 10. Because when 10 here is, of course, 10 is equal to 10, it will just break my loop, and it will not continue executing my code. Is break statement clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the break is a little bit easy to understand. Now we have something called continue. To explain continue, what I can do here, I can create a for loop, for example. I can just say for let I it's equal to 0. Again, you can do, depending on your need, 200, for example, and I plus plus. Now, what do I want to do here? Well, I want to log only the even numbers. So what are even numbers? Even numbers 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So I need somehow now to log only the even numbers. How could I know if my number is even or odd? So how could I know if the number is even or odd? Well, to do that, I can use a modulus. If my number is even, if I modulus with 2, the result it will be. So if I take any even number, let's say 4, and I modulus with 2, what will be the result?
0.
0. So with even numbers, if I try to modulus them with 2 all the time, the result will be 0. Why? Because with even numbers, they include certain number of 2 and there is no remainder. So in order to check this one, I can just put simple condition here. I can just say if I modulus 2, if it's strictly equal to 0, well, that means there is no remainder. That means my number is even. And what I can do here, I can just log the even number here. Voila. But if it's not even number, what do I want to do? Well, I can just say, for example, else like that. I can continue. So what does continue doing here? And actually what I need to do here, maybe I can type something here. Well, no, it's fine. Let's just keep it this way. So what I'm doing here, I'm checking if I modulus 2. So if I check how many 2 inside this guy here, if my number is even, the remainder of this calculation here, it will be 0. That means the number, it will be even. I'm logging the even. But if the number is not even, that means it is odd. I mean, there is no possibility the number either even or odd. If it's not even, that means it is odd. And here I'm just using the continue statement. So what does the continue do? Well, I need to debug so you can see what continue is doing. Actually, maybe I can add some code here. Let's add another log here. Log, I can say, for example, this is an even number or something like that. Let's log it and let's try to debug our code. Debug, click, debug, and let's go here. So now we will see what does continue statement do. Break, it's easy to understand and just break my loop, but continue is not that easy actually. So what do I mean by that? Okay, let's go to my loop here. Now my variable is the starting point here is 0, so I is 0. If I execute this one, I is 0, it will check my condition. 0 is less than 100, it is true. So it will try to execute my code here. Now, of course, I is 0. If I say I modulus 2 here, it will give me 0 because 0 is an even number. So this condition here is true. Because this condition is true, it's just going to log the I, and then it will come here. It will log this is an even number. So let's go. Click, and as you can see, it will log I in the console. And also, it's going to log this is an even number. Click. If I go to my console now, see, 0, this is an even number. Okay, now let's go to the second one here. Of course, we need to increment I by 1. Now it will become 1. Of course, 1 is less than. Guys, please mute yourself. Okay. Now, I is 1. 1 is still less than 100, yes. Now what it's trying to do here, it will try to do I modulus 2. The remainder is not 0 because simply 1 is not an even number. So it will go to the else block. Notice what continue is going to do. So continue, it will stop the current iteration. So here it will stop my loop and it will go up and then increment this one and start the next looping. So what continue is going to do here, it will stop executing my code and then it will go to the next iteration. What do I mean by that? Notice, because I'm in the continue, this code is it will not be executed here. How? So notice what will happen. So it will just continue my loop, voila. It will jump here and it will increment I by 1 to go to the next iteration, as you can see, voila. Voila. And here it will log. Now here it will be 3. Again, I'm in the continue. Remember, I is 3. So what's going to do here, it will stop executing my code. For I, it's equal to 3. And it will try to go and increment I by 1. So it will go to the iteration where I is 4. Is what I'm saying is clear or not?
Yes. Yes, it's clear. Okay. Can you do the even number, odd number now?
Yeah, just relax. Let me finish this one, and after that we can go to Zoom. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank
Again,
again, yeah, just a minute. I just want to make sure, confirm if I understand what you're saying again. So normally, if you want to get a even number, you need to only use continue after your code, so you can be
no,
able to continue in case to check if
no,
this number is
no.
no.
What I'm trying to explain, even number has nothing to do with continue. I'm trying to explain what continue is trying to do. So break, I know break my loop, stop my loop, but what does continue do? Well, continue just stop these iterations. So for example, now I in this case is 3, it will stop, execute my code, and it will go here, increment this one by one, and then it will go loop for when I is equal to 4. So what continue is doing here, it will stop the current iteration and it will jump to the next iteration.
So basically, continue is going to continue if it's not true, right? Then it will continue again to get a right answer, then it can be able to log it.
No. What continue is going to do, simply, it's like that. Let's say I is 0. Now I is 0. I'm just adding some condition here. This code could be anything. This code is not important. It could be anything. What was important for me is this statement here. Now, when I is 1, click on this one here. When I is 1, I think I can type something here. No, I can't. So when I is 1, this condition, it will be false. It will go to the continue here. When my code reach continue, what does continue mean? Continue here, that means it will stop. It will not go to execute my code. It will stop there and it will jump to the next iteration. What is the next iteration? Well, currently I am when I is equal to 1. The next iteration, it will be when I is equal to 2. Is the idea clear?
But Sam, the question is arise here. If we okay, now we have put the condition in continue, but by default in for loop, if we do not put continue, but the loop will definitely continue until the condition is true.
True, but you don't understand something. I'm not using continue here. I'm not using continue here to go to the to just run my loop. I'm using continue here to stop executing this code, to not execute this code. I'm using continue here to stop executing this code and go to the next iteration where it will be +1. That's what's continue doing. Again, if here it's 1, here this condition, it will be false. It will go to the continue. When my code reaches this one here, what it will going to do? It will skip the rest of the code. So it will not go to here. It will not execute line 12. No, it will jump here. I is 1. It will make it 2. And then it will try to run the code. So what the continue statement here is, we are using it. We are not using it just to run our loop. I know my loop, it will run as long as this condition is true. No, I'm using continue here to stop executing my code when I is a specific number. And then here, go to the next iteration where it will be I +1. Is it quite clear or not?
No. Okay, okay, let's do it like in this way. Because what I'm trying to say is that because we are using true or false, right? Now, when your code run, you want to have an even number. When your code run, okay, then it find that this thing is not true, it's false. Then when it reaches to the continue, it will not execute your code. It will go back again and read it until it find it right or true. That is when it's going to come down to the console.log to give you your right answer. Or is that what you're trying to, that's what I'm trying to know, if it's because it's true or false we're doing right now. It's not, but I know you talk about the continue, but I want to know continue. It continued because it did not find the execution true. It find it fast. That is why it was continuing. So until it find it right or true, then you'll be able to go ahead and execute it.
Harley, can you relax? I mean, I'm trying to tell you 1 + 1 is equal to 2. And what you are trying to do, you're trying to million +1, you try to make it super complex. The concept I'm trying to explain is very, very easy. Let's debug it and try to understand what's going on here. Okay, let's try to go to debug again. I'm just trying to explain to you what does continue do, what continue means here. It doesn't have to be the even number, even was just an example. What's important for me to understand what continue do. Notice now what
Okay.
continue will do. Let's go line by line and notice what will happen. So now I'm going inside my loop the normal way. It should be fine. It check is I is equal to 5, strictly equal to 5. No, because I is 0. So it's not going to continue. After that, what will happen? Well, it will go to the next line and it will console.log. This is even number or whatever the log is. Click. Now it will go to the second one. I is 1. Is I is 5? Of course not. So it will go and execute my code here. Click. Click. Voila. Same for 2. Here 2 is not 5. It's false. So it will execute this code again. Voila. 3, same idea. 4, same idea. But notice when I get to 5, what will happen? When I get to 5, that's my condition here. I don't want to execute this code. So when I have continue, because 5 is equal to 5, so my condition is true. What continue is going to do here, when I reach continue, it will not allow me to go and execute my code. It will stop it and go to when I is 6. Then it will start again. Notice, continue here. Now here, this code, it will never be executed. Why? Because what continue is going to do here, it will stop the current iteration. The current iteration when I is 5, it will stop my code when I is 5. It will not execute this line of code, but it will jump to the next iteration where I is 6. Notice, click, and now it will make I 6 and it will continue. Clear?
Yeah.
Let me try to make it simple, even simpler. Okay, let me show my console as well so you can see it. So what's going on here? Well, I'm using the same stuff here. It's not really biggie. So what I'm going to do here, I is 0. It's the first time I is 0. The condition is true. It will check if I is 5, of course not. So it will log the number I, as you can see. This code is going to be executed. Voila. And as you can see, I have 0 in the console. Same for 1, same for 2, same for 3, same for 4. But when I reach 5, something else is going to happen. Why? So when I is 5 here, my condition, it will be true. Notice what continue is going to do here. It will not allow to log 5 in the console. Why? Because when my code reach continue, it will stop executing my code. It will not allow me to complete executing my code. And it will jump to the next iteration. Notice I don't have 5 in the console. Now it will become 6, and I will see 6, as you can see. But I don't see 5. Why I don't see 5? Well, because continue is going to do, is gonna not allow me to continue executing my code. It will just jump me to the next iteration where I is 6. Clear now?
Yeah, not clear, yeah.
For everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. So that's what continue is doing. Of course, you will find continue and break in a lot of exercises. It's very important to understand them, but you can go again to through the exercise to understand them. These 2 keywords here. The last thing I'm going to explain today, it will be switch statement, and maybe I can just give you a little bit introduction about function, but I'm going to repeat function tomorrow anyway. So what is this?
Sam,
Yeah.
Sam, before you continue, can you please just mention like continue and break in your own experience, what kind of logical operation or what kind of thing you can apply it to, like what kind of like a function, what kind of like what do you call it again, a project you can apply it to in case you want to create a project, what can it do, you know?
You will see where we can use it in the example,
Okay.
but most of the time we use it when we are dealing with the user. If I ask the user, for example, for input, and I want specific input from the user, so I can loop again and again. And when I got this as the input I want from the user, after that I can break. If I did not what I want, I can continue. That means I can ask the user again and again and again. So mostly we use it with the while loop most of the time. And most of the time we use it when we deal with user, when we try to interact with the user, ask the user for something. But don't worry, we'll see example here. So in the examples, there's a lot of example about break statement, continue statement, loops in general. Okay, so what is the switch statement here? To explain it, let's try to take this example. I can just say const grade, but it should be lowercase. So what I can do here, I can just do this one here, 2 lowercase, I think we have, voila. So const grade, it's equal to, let's say my grade is 16 from 100. And now here, what I want to, if you remember the example, I can do with the if statement here, I can just say, if grade is greater than 19, I will give him A, else if grade is greater than 18, I can give him B. Then if it's more than 17, I can give him C. And then again, I can have another condition. Else if it's 16, I can give him D. Else I'm gonna give him F, which means failed, simply like that. Now, in some cases here, as you can see, of course, we can use, as you can see, the conditional statement if, else, if, else. I mean, that's not a bad idea. But when I have a lot of conditions, multiple conditions, this code become a little bit not nice to read. Do we have another way to try to check the grade? Well, yes. We have what we call switch statement. So what does switch statement do? Well, let me show you first. Let me run this code first, because my grade is 16, and my grade here is not greater or equal to 16 here. So probably I'm gonna fail, because my condition here, the grade must be greater. No, actually, it's greater or equal to 16. So maybe I can make it 15 here. It doesn't matter. Let's make it 55. And of course, if I make it 55, I will fail the test. Let's try to do it. If I click on this one here, click here, try to run my code, and of course, I'm failing here. Of course, if my degree here is 16 or 61, something like that, this condition, it will be true because the grade is greater or equal to 16. And what's going on here, it will give me D. So depending on the value here, it will give me a different stuff. That should be normal one here. Okay, what is the alternative? Well, I can use a switch statement. So what is a switch statement? How can I use it? I can just use switch statement. So in the switch statement, all I have to do, I can just say switch. And I think we have the same in Python as well. Switch, now I need to pass the value I want to check. What is the value I want to check here? What is the value I normally check? In my condition here, what do I check normally?
Grade.
Okay, it's the same idea here. So I will just say switch grade, and after that I need a parenthesis like that. After that, now I can have different cases. So case, like that, case 19. So if my grade is 19, as you can see here, I can just console.log A, and then after that I can break. And here, as you can see, also we use break with the switch statement. Now here, case 19, that means my grade, if it's 19, then it will give me this one. I can take case 18. So it's very close to this idea here. I can log B and blah, blah, blah. If the case 17, so you can take different number, as you can see here. Whatever, 16. And normally we have a default, so default case. The default is just like the else statement. If non-condition above is true, the default one, it will be executed, something like that. So what's the difference between this one and this one here, switch statement? So switch statement, I'm taking my grade and I'm checking if the grade is 19, it will log this one and it will stop. If I did not add a break statement here, it will go to the next line and try to do the second one as well. And then the third one, the fourth one like that. That's not what I want to. What I want, if it's 19, I just want to log A, and then I will need to stop because that's case 19. So it's very important to use a break and switch statement. Okay, let's try to run our code and try to see what is going on here. So if I refresh like that, my grade is 61. What do you think? Which one it will be log? So 61 here. So as you can see, 61. So is it 19? Is it 18? Is it 17? Is it 16? Yes.
I think it's gonna be default
Yes. Why it will be default?
because there is no 61 case.
Exactly. So as you can see here, we can use the switch statement here, and I can put different cases. So it's kind of similar to this idea here, but the point here, as you can see, I can have this case, this case, this case, this case, and if none of them applicable, it will go to the default case, and voila.
So
It's not-
in case we cannot do the range, for example, from 80 to 90 or something like that.
No, not really here. Here with the case when we take specific case. So it's not 100% like this one. It's quite close, but here I need to take specific case. Is the idea clear?
Yeah, so for example, this exercise is better to use if else because we need more.
Yes. But for example, let's say I'm checking if the age is 18. So let me redo this one here. And I just take, for example, instead of grade, let's say age. And here I can just check if age is 18, for example. I'm gonna do something. Or maybe I can just do something else, let's say. Is there any good example? Yeah, maybe let's just say const fruit. It's equal to apple. And now what I'm going to do here, I need to my switch statement, I need to pass whatever value I'm trying to check. And whatever I'm trying to check is fruit. So I need to pass fruit like that. And now here I will have different cases as well. Click. So what I can do here is if in case it's apple, I want to console.log apple is red and I need to break here. If case it's banana, I can do that. If case it's grape, I can do that. And default value here, I don't know what this fruit is. And here I can add the break statement, voila. So in this example, it will be quite nicer. For example, instead of using the if else like that, it's a good idea to use the switch statement, as you can see. So if I go here, refresh, of course, my fruit here, it will be apple. So it will just tell me apple is red, as you can see, and it will break. Remember something very important. If I did not add break here, notice what will happen. So if I go here, refresh, try to run, see all of them is gonna run here, all cases. So if I don't use the break statement, all the cases is gonna run, and that's not what I want to. That's the reason why we are using a break statement here. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't use the switch statement a lot, but in some cases, for example, like when I'm checking this one here, it may seem a little bit silly example, but for example, I'm checking what the user is. The user an admin? Is the user is just normal user? Is it super admin or something like that? Instead of using if else, I can use the switch statement. Is a little bit more readable. And voila. By the way, also the spacing here. So the spacing here is quite important, just like Python here. So I need to be a little bit careful with this one here. I cannot just add extra space like that. It will not work here. The indentation here with the switch statement is super important, just like in Python. So you cannot just do it this way. No, it needs one space or two space. You need to add exactly the number of the space here, as you can see. Is it quite clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's simply the switch statement here. Other than that, we can have quickly an idea about function, and I'm gonna stop for today. So what is functions? Well, functions are just an action. They are actions The actions are do something for my application or for my website, depending on my need. So how can I declare a function in JavaScript? We have three different ways to declare a function in JavaScript. We have what we call function declaration. We have what we called function expression, and we have what we called arrow function. Now, the most used case here, we most of the time either we use function declaration or arrow function. Mostly with React and the new JavaScript syntax, mostly we are using arrow function. There is a difference between arrow function and function declaration. I'm not gonna explain the difference now because it need to be a little bit advanced to understand the difference, but you need to understand there is difference between these two functions. Okay, what is function declaration? Well, it's quite simple. I need to use a keyword function. That's function declaration. And for example, I can take sum or whatever I want to. A sum here, my function take two numbers and then return two numbers. For example, return the sum of both. So that's what you call function declaration. Function declaration means I will have the keyword function and then I need to have the name of my function. That's how it is. What is function expression? A function expression, it's a function without any name. What do I mean by that? Well, when my function has no name, we call it anonymous function. That means it has no name. So let's try to do it. So I can just say function subtract like that. Subtract, and subtract here, it will take also two numbers. So I can just say A and B, and it will return me A minus B. And the subtract is not correct. So let's try to fix it. Voila. But here, actually, I don't need the name. So let me remove this one here. Voila. So function expression, as you can see, is just a function as well, but it has no name. Function declaration, I have a name for my function. But this guy here, I don't have name to my function. So what could be the solution? Or maybe I can just simply use like that here, an arrow function. Yeah. So function expression, as you can see, this is a function, by the way. Is my function here take two numbers or two value A and B and return me A minus B. But the problem, my function has no name. If my function has no name, how can I use it? Can I use it?
No.
That is, how can
Well,
you call it? Okay, go
Well,
ahead.
well, actually, it's quite simple. Actually, I can store it in a variable. I mean, that's the idea of the variables. The variable are just boxes, as you can see. Subtract is not correct. Subtract, I think, like that. But anyway, so that's the idea. Subtract. Again, it's not correct. Let's use multiplication here. It looks like I cannot multiplication. It doesn't really matter what's the name of the function here, but what I'm trying to explain here, multiplication. Yeah, it's not the name of the function. It's just telling me you are not using a function. So a function expression is a function without name. And when function is without name, we call it anonymous function. Anonymous function means function without name. So anonymous function is a function without name. Yeah, it doesn't want to anonymous. Yeah. I cannot type as well. Anonymous. Yeah, I think that's it. So anonymous functions just means that its function has no name, simply like that. You just need to remember this one here. Okay, fine. So if my function has no name, how can I use it? I cannot use it, but I can store it inside a variable. And now This variable includes a function. Now I can call it. So all I have to do, I can just type the name of my variable, and then I can, voila, use it as a function. Pass 2 and 3, and here it should give me, actually it's multiplication, so it should give me 6 true, as you can see. So function declaration, I'm using the keyword function, and I have the name of my function and blah, blah, blah. Function expression, I have a function here, and my function does not have any name. It's an anonymous function. I cannot use it. So to use it, I can just store it in a variable. And when I store it in the variable, now this variable here become just like a function, and I can call it.
Sam, there's
Yes.
something here. Okay, it said it looked like it recognized multiplication automatically, but you said that is an anonymous. But normally, if you use, for example, right now, Go or maybe like X or anything, will it give the same value here as multiplication or what?
Again, what do you mean?
Because you know const multiplication and you did not use anything because normally you say return A minus B, but here it's giving you multiplication answer 2 times 6, but on the return is 8 minus B. It's about to
Here.
return 2 minus 3, right?
Here, voila. Happy?
No. But use the minus. Why is it giving the 6 here? Or if you use minus, will it give you 1 or what?
Here it doesn't give me 6. It's just a comment. It doesn't have to be true.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And
So all
I'm confused with that. Okay, thank you.
To check, I need to run my code. Well, as you
Okay.
can see here, I'm not running my code, so let's get rid of this one here. Multiplication is equal to this one multiplied by this one. So multiplication is 2 and 3. And of course, I'm not logging anything, so I will not see the result. So let me log it so you can see the result. Log multiplication 2 and 3. And now if I go to my code, and it's giving me 6, as you can see.
Perfect. And if you use minus, it will give you minus answer, right?
If I'm using minus here, it depends, but it is another function. So it will give me 2 because here 2 is A. So it will be 2 minus 3 and it will give me minus 1.
1. Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, thank you. I just was a little confused. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but this is multiplication, so I need to use multiplication.
Okay. All right.
Its function expression is clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I kind of a little bit, yeah, I'm waiting for you to read the arrow function because it looked like the way you write the arrow function too, but yeah, just let me listen.
Well,
So,
let me delete it. Let me do another way. Function A and B. Voila. Yeah. It could be anything. The idea of function expression is, actually, I even don't need function here. I can just do this way here. Will work? No, it will not work. Let's use function. Lowercase unexpected name function. Yeah, it should work actually, but yeah. Let me just get rid of this one. Let me use this function here. A and B, it will not work for some reason. Identify expected. So it's the same as function declaration. Yes, but it should give me actually, let's just the constant. It's equal to a function A and B, and it should give me something actually, and it should work. First time, but okay, finally. So what's going on here? So it doesn't matter here if I'm using function declaration or I'm using arrow function. The most important thing here, I'm saving my function inside a variable. And now here, if I want to use this function here, I can use it again. Log sum 1 and 2, it should give me 3, and this one should be working. Run, as you can see, my function still works. So this one could be like an arrow function, or it could be function declarations. The most important thing that this function expressions, the function has no name. Is the idea clear?
I don't really understand the difference between when you make a name for the function and when you store it in the variable. Isn't it the same idea, or
No,
even when you call it, it's the same?
no, it's not the same. There is difference between these two cases. So especially between the function declaration and arrow function here. I'm just trying to explain the type of function in JavaScript. So the type of function in JavaScript, I can use function declaration, just a keyword function and the name of the function, but I could have some function which has no name. So I may have some function which has no name. I don't have any name for them. In this case, I have no choice but to store the function inside a variable. So what I'm trying to explain to you, I'm trying to explain that it's possible to store a function inside a variable. In practical life, most probably you're not going to use this way. Either you're going to use function declaration or arrow function. See now. Is the idea clear, Daniel?
So even if you store a function inside the variable, you can add something more in this variable, so you can.
No, so
Just the
it's just
function.
the function will be stored in the variable. Just like, for example, I say const age, it's equal to 13. Now, whatever inside this variable 13 is the same idea. Whatever inside this variable, it will be this function. Now, inside this variable, I put this function. A function is data type, as we've seen, it's just reference data type. So I can store it in this variable. And when I store a function, that's mean here, when I call sum, it will be, I need to execute it as a function because it store a function inside it. Yes?
Okay, understand.
Good. Now, again, we will not see a lot of this example. Most of the time we see function declaration and arrow function, but you need to understand that sometimes we have some anonymous function. Anonymous functions, that means they have no name. But if they have no name, how can I call them? I can. I need to store them in a variable, and then I can just treat the variable as a function. Let's go to the last one, which is arrow function. So arrow function, it's very similar. Actually, I can just declare a variable, sum, it's equal. And here, all I have to do, it will be just a parentheses A and B. And after that, I can do something here like that. Now, you may tell me what's the difference really between this way, and between this way. Does anyone know what's the difference between that?
Yes, what I have seen, the first function is without the syntax is different entirely, because the main function where we are using function for declaration, we do not use at semicolons, and the others are same and with semicolons as well, but the arrow function with arrow, that is some sort of syntax difference.
I'm not asking about the syntax. The difference is not in the syntax. The difference is something else. These two functions, because I store them in a variable, that's mean. Actually, let me show you so it will be easy for you. Now, you see my function sum? Now, if I want to use this function, let's try to log, and let's use it with 2 and 3. Okay? That's function declaration. Let's run it. Let's try to run it. It works, right? But what if I change this line here? I move it to the top. Do you think it will work or not? So again, what I did here, I'm trying to call the function before I declare the function. Will it work or not?
It will work.
No.
No.
Let's see. It works actually. It works. What's the reason why it's working? So with this one, it will work. But now let's try to do with the other. First, let's understand the problem, then try to do it. If I come to this function here, which is this guy here, and let's try to call it again here, so I can log and say sum, but it will not be sum, of course, it will be sum1, because my function name is sum1, as you can see. So let me comment this one. Now here, I'm trying to call this function here, and let's see if that will work or not.
In this case, it will not.
Well, we don't know. It does not work. Okay, let's try to do it here. Let's try to do it here with the other function, which is the arrow function. That's my arrow function. Let me call my sum2. So log sum2, voila. Let me just remove this one as well, so it will not. So now that's my arrow function. I'm calling my arrow function in a normal way. It should be fine without any problem. It should work. It's normal. Click, run, it's working. But what if I move this line up? Well, if I try to do so, and I try to run my code, it does not work. So I told you there is a huge difference between the function, the arrow function, and the function expression, and also between the function declaration. What was the difference?
We cannot call before, because that was are the simple variables, stored variables, and we can call another function anywhere, but we cannot call before declaring the declaration. So that is the difference.
Okay, so the difference, Daniel, as you can see, the difference, this one and these ones, they're quite similar, yes. But this does not have a name. I'm storing it in a variable. The problem is sometimes I need to call my function before I really create my function. And that will be possible with function declaration. So I can put my function down here, and I can call my function at the top. It is fine. That's what we called hoisting. So hoisting, of course, I'm going to repeat it multiple times, but hoisting just means I can call my function before I declare my function. And that's happened only with function declaration. But with function expression and with arrow function, I cannot call my function before I declare it. Yes?
Sam, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, functions always return a value. So in this case, it should be mandatory or important. The function always return value in all the cases.
No. Sometimes if I need something from the function, I will just use the return. If not, I don't need to. It's not always. The function not always take parameters. The function not always need to return something. It depends what do I want from the function. If I want to do some calculation, I need to pass parameter, do my calculation. If I want something back from the function, I will use a return here. But no, it doesn't have to be always, no. Okay, again, we have three types of function. Try to make it very simple. Try not too complicated. Function declaration, as you can see, I'm using the keyword function and I have a name for the function. This function here, function declaration, I can call it before or after I declare the function. There's no problem here. The second one, function expression. We said expression because we are assigning it to a variable. This function is anonymous. That means the function has no name, because here, that's my function. It has no name really. Because it has no name, I cannot call it. I cannot use it. I need now to store it in a variable. And that's what you call function expression. By the way, it's also this arrow function. It's actually form of function expression, because also, as you can see, I'm assigning it to a variable. But the syntax is different here. I need to just use here parentheses and then arrow. The arrow, it will be equal and angle bracket like that here. If I put together, it will be like an arrow. Voila. So currently we have three types of function, as you can see in JavaScript. We have function declaration, function expression, and function or arrow function. The most used one, actually, we don't use this one a lot, to be honest. The most used, it will be the function declaration and the arrow function. Now, there is some differences between the function declaration and the arrow function. They are not just related to hoisting. That means I can call this one before, I cannot call this one before. There is also different with something else, with this. In JavaScript, we have a keyword called this. And this keyword here, I will explain it later, it's quite confusing. This has different meaning when I'm using arrow function or when I'm using function declaration. So for now, just understand there is two differences at least between function declaration and arrow function. First, it's related to hoisting. Hoisting means I can call my function before or after I declare my function. And that will happen only with function declaration, only when I have this one. With arrow function, I cannot do that. It's not possible. Arrow function are not hoisted. I cannot just call them before I declare them. It is not possible. But with function declaration, it is possible. The second difference is related to the keyword this. Just understand it for now like that. And later on, I will explain what's the difference with this keyword this. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Good. So let's try to run this code. HYF-5 is not. Okay, let's try just to take some examples. So we are just talking about function here. Most of the time here, you will find after 2015, actually, we have arrow function. In React, in most of this framework, we are using arrow function because they are just simpler and easier to write. So let's try to create a function using arrow function. And yeah, what we're going to do in our function is not important, actually. I can just do anything I want to. So how can I create? So let me first here create an arrow function. Arrow function like that. Function, voila. So to create an arrow function, first, what you need to understand here, I need to put parentheses, and then I need to put an arrow. So it will be equal, and this sign here, which will be, I think it's greater than or less than, whatever, the angle bracket. But there is no space between them. But when I do that, my text editor changes the sign so you don't understand what it means. Voila. And then I need the body of the function. That's simply an arrow function. Voila. It's super simple, as you can see. Just parentheses, an arrow, and then the body of the function. Of course, this function here, it's an anonymous function. Why? Why this one is an anonymous function? Yes.
Because there is no name.
Because it has no name. So I need to save it in a variable. So if I can just say here, const, let's say hello. And if you notice all the time, the name of my function start with verb because function are action. So I need to start with verb. Say hello. And now here in my function, I can do whatever I want to. Here in this example, I'm just gonna log hello, simply like that. Voila. And that's valid function, actually. That's an arrow function, that's valid function. Now, of course, I told you, I cannot call my function before the declaration because it's an arrow function. So here, I went to call my function, all I have to do just do this way. I can call it multiple times if I want to. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, whatever, it depends on my need. And if I go to my code now, refresh, and now here I will call this function how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. Run, and as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's arrow function. Let's use add another example, function declaration. So we can just say function declaration. Function expression, we don't use it a lot, actually. Most of the time, we use either function declaration or arrow function. So here, I can do the same function, by the way. As you can see, little bit the syntax, of course, is different. So here, I just have the keyword function. There's the name of my function, parentheses, and here, voila. And here to call this function, it's okay. I can use the same exactly here. Just the name of my function and parentheses. Why is you are not duplicating? Let's try to duplicate it 4 times as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Voila. And if I refresh, I have my function here, which is function declaration run. What the hell is going on here? Append child on node. It looks like I have this one extra. Voila. Let's refresh. As you can see, I have 4. So they are doing the same job. But for you now, it's important to understand just this point for now. You need to understand that arrow function, you cannot call your function before the declaration. So I cannot use the function before here. So that's my function. I can use it after this line here. Yes, it's okay. But before, I cannot. With function declaration, it's up to me. I can call it before or after. It doesn't matter really. Is it okay?
Yes.
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 The syntax should be clear. So as you can see here, that we call it arrow function because we have something like an arrow here. Other than that, we call it function declaration because we have the keyword function. I think that should be enough for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to explain function again with some example, all three parts. But again, what I want you to focus on these two. I want you to understand that we have function expression, but most of the time we use either arrow function or function declaration. Question?
Yes.
Yes.